Bro, do you not want to be rich? Do you not want to be wealthy? Do you not want to be, don't you want the success and freedom that comes with just having a shit ton of money? Like, really ask yourself, are you even in the right vehicle? Are you playing the same game as the people you want to be like? These guys who are at the top 1%, the people who are all rich, they all have the same thing. They all have businesses, they all have assets, right? They're in the vehicle to get them rich, a business, right? They're entrepreneurs. You being employed, having a job, you're not gonna get rich this way. You know it, I know it. Your salary is average, and after taxes, it's even below, it's way below average. It's like you're never gonna get rich doing this stuff, right? So I just wanna bring up the idea, at least have it in your head, ruminate business, entrepreneurship, because that is a vehicle that will get you from where you are to where you wanna be. All these other rich people have businesses and assets. What makes you think you're gonna somehow get rich having a job? Like, you need to take the risk, you need to do the work. It's all required, okay? If you either you want to be rich or you don't, right? If you want to be rich, you want to be wealthy, why? And I'm assuming that's why you're watching this video. You have to at least think of the idea. It doesn't have to be right now, but eventually, just have your brain start thinking of concepts and ideas of what you have to learn, what skills you need, and eventually you can be able to transition yourself from being employed to self-employed, from having a job to having a business, and then that business can eventually be the asset that makes you rich, right? But the point of this video is I was just thinking about it this morning, right? And a lot of people don't even know what a business is. And just to like really break it down, a business is only three things: a product or service, marketing, and sales, right? And so when I first thought about what business was, I was like, oh no, it's too hard. Everybody tells me that it's too risky, this and that. And it's like, first of all, don't even listen to any of these people, because all of these people who are telling you it's hard and risky don't even know what a business is. They overcomplicate it because of what they heard, and they just regurgitate all these words that they've heard. But if you actually look into it, business is a lot simpler than you would think. It's just a harder, but harder in terms of it's just more work on your part, right? Because instead of handling one role of like what a typical job is, like you're not just handling one little department, a position in a department, you're handling all the departments by yourself. But it's also like, again, it's not that complicated, because typically when you work in a company, they have such huge amounts of clients and customers that they're having to deal with so much different little things. But when you're in your own business, you're only having to deal with like 3 to 5 clients, and then you with that amount of clients probably make more than your job will be paying you, and you're actually building a long-term asset in the form of your business. You're building your clientele list. It's a completely different thing. I don't want to get into the details right now, but just understand business isn't as hard as people make it out to be. If you are someone who is able to work 40 hours at a job, you'll be able to work 40 hours on your own business. As long as you're able to just endure the stress of like, maybe you don't get a paycheck every week, but just understand that at the end of every month, the paycheck will be 5 times bigger, 10 times bigger than what your job will be paying you. And while also building this long-term asset that eventually you can sell or it'll pay you for life, right? 3 things I said: product or service, marketing, and sales. It's so crazy, because if you think about it, with these like 3 core ideas, we all already have the experience and skills to have our own business. You're just overthinking it over and over again. You're thinking, oh, I need this information, I need these skills, I need a network, I need this and that. It's like, no, you don't. You already have the core foundations. You like it's just you having to develop the muscle a little bit more, just so it could be more viable for business, right? So just to break it down, right? Product or service is something like a tangible item or something that you do for someone, right? So like, if I was to go clean your house, I would vacuum it or whatever. I could vacuum for you, right? That's the service. Or I can like just give you a Roomba. That's a product, right? But both of them get the same end goal. They vacuum to make your house clean, right? And so that's all you have to think about, right? We want to clean your house. I could either do a service and clean it for you, or I can give you a Roomba, a product that will clean it for you, right? So a product or service is just a system that provides a solution, okay? What did you want? You wanted your house cleaned, and I could either do that in the form of physically vacuuming or a product, right? If you wanted to lose weight, I can either do personal training, a service, or I can give you like a guide on exactly what to do, what to eat, and then you would lose weight, right? A product or a service that gives a solution, right? That's all it is. And you've done this time and time again throughout your life. If you've ever had some sort of routine that you do in order to get yourself from one state to another, typically in a positive state, like into a positive state, then you have a routine. If every time that you get sad, you go on the couch, you eat this flavor of ice cream, you turn on this certain TV show, and then you text this one friend. It's like that is your routine to go from sad to happy or whatever, right? And now typically that comes more naturally. It's not novel, so you can't really sell it because people will do that on their own. But say you are like completely different, right? So like you're like this guy, he got his heart broken, and instead of being like a typical like to sleep in my bed, to eat junk food and do nothing, you make sure that you go to bed early, you wake up even earlier, you hit the hardest workout, it's like crazy specific routine, you go swimming, you come home and maybe you go like chop wood, you break stuff, you go hiking, you grill, like you have this like sort of routine you do to get yourself out of this like slump or depression. That's not what the typical average person does. So then if you were able to package this all together, either give it to someone like in like a list format, or like a this is how you do this, like you give them the full breakdown routine, or you literally do it with them. That's a product or service that people would literally buy. Why? Because people don't want to figure out all those stuff by themselves. They don't want to do it by themselves. They don't know which places to go to. They don't know where they have to be. It's like they don't know why it actually works, like getting all that physical movement, and why like keeping your mind occupied is actually going to get them over the breakup or whatever, right? It's like that is a product or service you can sell. I literally just thought of all that in my head, but it's like you've thought of this. It's think a little bit deeper of when you create a system for yourself to go from one state to a better state. That's like you need a positive transformation. If you can systemize your positive transformation, you have a product or service to sell. Sales is literally any type of conversation you've ever had with another human where you're trying to convince them, persuade them to do something. Whether it was telling your friends to come out to a party, whether you were trying to tell your friends to go to the club, drink, smoke, or whatever. That's like, I wouldn't do those, but whether you're trying to get a job, during a job interview, whether you're trying to tell your parents to like let you sleep over or go out, whatever. If you've ever had a conversation where you're trying to convince someone of something, you were in a sales conversation, right? You were trying to sell your idea, you were trying to sell yourself. If you ever try to get a girl's number, you're trying to sell yourself to the girl, right? It's all sales. Any conversation with another human being where you're trying to be convincing, persuasive, whatever, like stop thinking of persuasion as unethical, stop thinking of business as unethical, stop trying to think of making money as unethical. These are not unethical things. These are natural things that people are doing, and people will continue doing forever and ever. There's like, it doesn't serve you to believe that they're unethical. If you use them in an unethical fashion, then they're unethical. But if you use them in an ethical fashion, it's ethical. If you tell your friend to come out to a party because you think he'll have a fun time, it's not you being unethically persuasive. You're ethically trying to make him go through a good time. If you're trying to sell someone a service that you know will help them, then it's not you being unethical. You genuinely believe that you're helping them, so it's ethical. Like, you need to get these things into your head. Don't have limiting beliefs. Don't have these assumptions that like other people just fed into you. Cut out the noise, right? So that's product and service, and that's sales, right? Last thing is marketing. Marketing is literally just getting leads, getting attention, right? So you can have the best product in the world, but if nobody sees it, then you'll get no sales, right? And so like people will talk about it, like people in business will talk about, you could have a bad product and great marketing and you'll get sales, but a great product with no marketing will get you nothing, right? So marketing is almost like the most important aspect, because if people aren't seeing your thing, nobody will give you the attention, nobody will buy your thing. You need to be marketing, right? Marketing is almost like the first thing you want to figure out for your business. And so in my head, what I thought about was like this is a little bit more like harder to replicate in real life, like simulate, I guess, like have that real life experience or skills. But the best way for me to describe you trying to get like you marketing, it's like sales at scale. So it's like, instead of having a one-on-one conversation like it is in sales, it's like you talking to lots of people or whatever. But if you've ever like tried to make yourself more attractive, looks maxing or whatever, that's you marketing. Like, you're making the product you better so that you get more attention. So if you were to looks matter, you got a haircut, you got your eyebrows done, you put on a good fit, you put on like, good perfume or whatever, you moisturize really well, you shaved your body, whatever, right? You just made yourself like very optimally attractive, and then you went outside to the club, to the park, shopping, whatever it might have been. You're gonna get attention, right? Like if you didn't do any of those things, you doing those things was going to get you more attention, right? So you made the product better in order for you to get more attention. You were marketing yourself at scale, right? Whoever was interested will give you looks, who would, maybe come and talk to you, right? You were getting leads, okay? You were getting people who are interested in the product, and so If you've ever done that, which I guarantee you've done at one point, if you've ever got a haircut, if you've ever put on a good fit, if you've ever like had a birthday fit on, like you wanted more attention that day, you wanted more people to be interested in you, and so you marketed yourself. And like if you were to like do all of that, like glammed up yourself, and then you stayed at home, you're not marketing, right? Because there's no one to give you attention, there's no one to see you in your room when you're all by yourself. And now you can like bring up the idea of digital marketing, where you're like, if you glammed yourself up and then made content, right, you'd get attention through the internet, which would probably be a much bigger scale than if you like went to a park or something. And that's why digital marketing is so much more major than regular marketing, right? Because you have access to the internet, right? A poster on some tree is not going to get more views or attention than like a video that you post on the internet. That's why everybody's moving to digital marketing. It's a new wave, right? And so if you just think about everything I said, I guarantee in one way or another, you have product or service experience, you've definitely created a system or routine to get a solution. Sales, you've definitely convinced someone in your life to do something, whatever it was, buy you a game, take you to a party, get your number, whatever, right? And marketing, if you've ever wanted attention, whether that means posting on your story, whether that means glamming up and going outside, whether that means telling people it's your birthday, whatever it may have been, naturally as humans we crave attention to a certain degree. I know you marketed yourself at some point. You have all three experiences. Now you just got to figure out how to do it in the business that you specifically want, figuring out the exact product or service that you want to sell, and then doing the two things already that you know how to do. That's all it is. That's all business is. And once you can switch your mindset from like, oh, business is hard, to business is viable, business is doable, business is the vehicle needed to get rich, because people in jobs do not get rich and wealthy. It's impossible. You cannot get rich trading your time for money. If your input is time, the outcome is limited, right? Because it's limited by how much time you have. You need the output to be heavily relied on the value you bring. So if you bring a lot of value, you get a lot of money, right? Per se, like if we're trying to balance it off money, but if you only bring 40 hours, you can only get paid for 40 hours. But if you bring in immense amount of value, you get paid in immense amounts. You get paid in proportion to the problems you solve, right? So just thinking about that, try to like, if you're gonna make a product or a system and you're gonna really go all in business, typically the bigger the problem you can solve, the better it is, because then you could charge more, you have less clients and still make a lot of money, whatever it may be, right? Those are all like intricate details, but just understand business is viable, business is the move. You need to be thinking about business and entrepreneurship right now so that you can eventually switch in and transition to that state. And if you do that, you can become rich and wealthy, you can become successful and free, and you don't gotta like go into work and clock in and be a rat and just have this horrible job that you don't find fulfilling, but you just don't know any other way out. I just gave you the way out, and you already have the experience and you have relative skills. Just work on them, build on them, get better, do more, become the best. And in the end, we're gonna fucking win.